I will refer to myself as Victoria though. Just a little bit of background on myself. So you guys, if you guys don't know what we're talking about today, I'm just gonna go over movement and why it's important, and how it's kind of in everything that we do, but we're kind of losing it as we get older and as society is progressing in technology, right? We're constantly on our computers and our cell phones, and so the question is, how do we get that back, right? We're constantly in a sitting environment, so how do we get ourselves moving again? Just a little background on myself. I grew up in Huntsville, wasn't born here, but grew up here, was here for about 15 years before I left for the first time. Moved overseas a couple times, came back, and as I started to ask more questions about myself and my state physically, it led me on this journey of saying, what is the body and what was it made to do, and why is it that I have this ability to play soccer or run and some people don't? So what are the factors at play there? So I started asking these questions, and it led me to a school in New York City that I found. It's called Focused Personal Training Institute. And there I attended their master course, which was a 700-hour program that lasted about 6 or so months, and it included a 100-hour internship at the gym, at a gym of your choice, so that you could see the industry and know a little bit more about it. And then afterwards you could either choose to work at the internship or somewhere else. And it was there that I started to learn about, I mean, we took anatomy classes in high school, but I didn't really pay attention, so it wasn't until I started asking these questions that it became important to me, and I was like, what is this body? And as I started to learn about the muscles in your abdomen and your back and your arms, and that we could produce movement through these, and we're producing movement every single day, right? I'm standing here, so all my muscles are working in my legs and my abs to hold me upright, otherwise I just flop on the ground, right? Your guys' muscles are working to hold you in an upright position, even your head, otherwise your head would drop. So they're constantly working, whether we're aware of it or not. So as my knowledge increased, I just became more and more passionate about movement and the body. So I started continuing to ask those questions, and even to this day, I'm asking questions, right? What's the most efficient way that we can use this? It led me to my second training, which was medical exercise training, and how this was developed was a physical therapist actually designed it, and he wanted to, so personal training school, so I came out as a personal trainer. So the medical exercise training, he wanted to educate personal trainers on how to work with clients who came out of rehab, right? So knee replacements, disc herniations, hip replacements, ACL reconstructions, and the works, that there are certain protocols. If you've ever had these procedures done, you know that you go to PT afterwards for 6 to 8, maybe 12 weeks, and you have to, do your X amount of leg extensions, your hip raises, whatever, to help strengthen the muscles that were weakened. And because of that, your other movements kind of stopped a little bit, right? You weren't able to walk upstairs for a while or get out of bed as easily, depending on the operation again. And so people came to this PT and said, we want to work with a trainer. And he was like, okay, just have a trainer call me. And he was feeling that he was encountering trainers that weren't educated on these procedures, on these protocols. And so he wanted to educate trainers and say, hey, I want to be able to send my clients to you and know that they're going to be safe, and that you can, right? Because as trainers, we're experts in the gym, right? They say that we're experts in exercise, whereas PTs are experts in rehab and very small joint actions, and we see it as a bigger picture. And so he wanted his clients to get better and return to full strength, but after 8 weeks, you might not be able to reach that. So he did this training, and as a result, I did it a year ago, and I worked with clients who have had disc herniations, knee replacements, and the works, and it's been amazing to see them get stronger. But again, as they've continued to get stronger, it's led me to more questions as to how can I better impact people, and how can we get people moving, right? So population that I work with is becoming increasingly more and more older adults, so people 60 plus. I work with like 40 to 50 year olds as well, but it's becoming that prehab and post-rehab work, which has been very interesting. And so I want to kind of share that with you today, but I think it's applicable across the board, right? I think the goal is to not get to those points, right? We, as a personal trainer, we use surgery as the last resort. Obviously, I don't do the surgery, but we try to get our clients to a place where they don't need it, right? I will never recommend a client to get surgery as the first thing out of my mouth, right? That's the last thing, and even that they have to talk to their doctors. So today, where we're going, we're just going to cover a few things, and afterwards we'll have a time for Q&A. But I kind of want to talk about movement, just as a broad term. Right? What is it? How does it work? How can we implement it into our lives? Good posture. Also, what does it look like? Why is it important? And what does it mean to have a strong core? Right? We're all talking about ab exercises. What's the best way to train our abs? So we're going to address that later on. And then the last couple of things are hip mobility and how it is associated with low back pain. And then the last one is I've never exercised before. How do I get started? Right? That seems to be a common question. So hopefully we can have time to get through all this. So the first thing I want to talk about is just exercise as a broad term. So actually, before we get started, it's really important for me to mention that where I am today was a process. Right? I didn't wake up one day and get to where I am, and I think it's important to remember that we're all on a process, right? My Instagram, because that's where we're going to social media, my Instagram page is called Vision Journey Fitness, right? So it talks about how we have a vision where we're going somewhere, a journey because it's never complete, and then fitness because that's what I do. So a reminder to you guys that it doesn't matter where you're at today. I want to kind of intersect you on that journey now and see how we can take that next step, either together or on your own, to go on to the next thing. And so it's just really important that I'm not judging anybody, right? I've had my own journey. I'm continuing to learn. And so as I talk about core strength or squats or whatever, I'm never looking at your life and saying, you're doing it all wrong. I'm just hoping to provide a little bit more information, because I know when I got into the industry, it was like, whoa, there's like all this stuff, and like, who do you listen to? And so-and-so is saying this, and this is the latest fad, and this is the best ab exercise. Like, so hoping to condense that all and say, what is the most coherent thing that we can use moving forward in very small tips. So let's start just by defining a few things. So exercise. If you guys want to kind of have you guys participate, there's going to be some movement later on, so if you want to, we can stand up later on, but just so you know. But can anybody want to give me a definition of exercise, and maybe an exercise that they've seen or do on their own? Exercise. Go.
I do resistance weight.
Resistance training, okay. What kind of exercise do you do with that?
Dumbbells.
Okay, but name one. So pressing it overhead, pressing it. Okay, so yeah, okay. Military press. So dumbbells are out to the side, pressing it overhead. Great exercise. Definition that I'm going to go with today, which I found in Webster's dictionary, is just bodily or mentally exerting yourself, especially for the sake of training or improvement of health. Right. So when you do an overhead press, or I'm trying to strengthen my muscles overhead. When I do a plank, I'm trying to strengthen my abdomen, right? So what about movement, right? This might be an obvious one. So we can define movement as me moving my limb, right? I will continue to move while I'm up here, just back and forth. And so it's just the act of moving your body or a part of your body. So pretty simple there. So then the last one is training, right? How do we define training? And that's just to do exercise and prepare for a specific purpose, right? So I think it's really important to distinguish between exercise and training. So I'm a personal trainer. I train with a specific purpose in mind with my clients. I don't just go into the gym and be like, hey, we're gonna do 20 burpees, 20 push-ups, blah, 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 because that's cool. No, like, if you have a back injury or a knee injury, or if you're just trying to improve your health, right, I go into the plan because it's a purpose, right? I have a goal in mind for every single session, and then also an 8-10 week goal, whatever it is. So I think it's trainers get a bad rap, and I actually give them a bad rap myself, because I don't like, you'll hear me say I don't like personal trainers in the industry, because I think you'll come to learn, or if you haven't learned already, it's not we're not licensed professionals, right? You can get a certification and you're a trainer. So it means someone can go online and take an exam and they can call themselves a personal trainer and they can work with you in a gym. Which, as a trainer myself, that's very scary. Like I don't want to go and work with someone who just has a cert. John sent me an article, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, just like top 10 things to know if your personal trainer is good or not. And I thought it was really cool, right? Because I think it's good to weed that out, and I think everyone could benefit from working with a trainer. I'm not trying to like do a plug or whatever, but I think it's good to like have that accountability, but then also to have someone to check your form and all that other stuff, but to distinguish between training and exercise, right? We move with a purpose, right? Back to movement. So, right, there's all these different movements we can do. I thought this was really funny, but like, right, playing basketball, it doesn't have to, movement isn't limited to the gym, right? So if you guys think of movement, right, we could do a push-up, we could start squatting, we could press overhead. That was, people think of as exercise, and we're like, limit movement to that, right? No, but I could throw a ball, I could kick, I could get out of my chair, I could get out of bed, I could roll on my side. There's all these different movements, and I think it's important to note that the movement that we do shouldn't be limited to the gym, right? So if it's maybe sitting at the dining room table with your family at dinner, playing soccer with your kids, playing with your dog, like whatever it is, right? Those are all movements, and so it's how do we keep that coming in our lives instead of being stuck to our phone. So first thing that we're going to kind of go over is posture, and people might sit up straight a little bit as they hear me talk about that. So totally fine. I could care less. So let's just kind of talk about like why is it important, and we kind of see as you can look around you. I mean, I see it more in New York because people are constantly walking around, right? There's people who are constantly in a more bent position, right? And that's, you're starting to actually see that in a younger population, which is kind of mind-boggling to me, right? I'm 22, I'm about to be 23, so I forgot how old I was. So I'm 22, and I'm seeing it, people, like kids these days, where we're on our phone, mine's not up here, which is good, right? We're on our phones, and we're bent over, and we're sitting, so we're in this closed off position, and so we're starting at a younger age to move in that, right? So gravity is constantly working down on us, and when we get into that position, we're just kind of submitting to gravity, whereas when we sit upright, we're having to work a little bit harder and say, no, like, I refuse to submit to your push down, if you want to look at it by that. So we kind of talk about like the bad effect, the bad outcomes of posture that isn't good, right? So what happens when I'm in this closed off position? Because sometimes we don't think about it, right? We're just doing it, and I think something that we're moving to is just doing things without thought, right? So I'm just kind of like sitting here, whatever, it doesn't have an impact on me, but in reality it does. And so there was actually an article that was published, I forget how many years ago, but it talked about the 42-pound head. And it just taught, one of the quotes, and then I want to read a couple of other things from it, but it talked about that every inch of forward head posture, which just means, right, if I'm in this bent over position, then to look forward, I have to look up. So then my head is getting jutted out in front of me, so that's what they're referring to as forward head posture. It can increase the weight of your head by 10 by 10 pounds for every inch forward it is, right? So your 12-pound head then becomes 42 pounds as you're getting further and further away, which is kind of, I mean, a lot. If you guys have ever lifted anything that weighs close to 50 pounds, that's a lot. And then to think that you're putting 50 pounds that your neck muscles and your chest and your shoulders have to hold up instead of 12. Your body wasn't actually designed to do that, right? The muscles that are attaching to your neck and your shoulders were designed to keep your head right here and not out here. Now, the body has the amazing ability to adjust to the stress applied to it, whether it's good or bad. And so when I put myself here, my body will adjust, but it just means those muscles in the back of my head will have to work 10 times harder to keep me there, right? So that's where, people, I'm sure you've heard people complain about neck pain, back pain, and we're gonna kind of get into that and why that might be the cause and how we can address that. But a couple of things from that article, the guy says, prior to palpation, because sometimes we have to touch to kind of see how things are doing, the client's cervical and capital extensors, which are the muscles in the back of your head, are in a losing battle attempting to isometrically restrain 42 pounds against the unrelenting force of gravity. Over time, poor posture results in pain, muscle aches, tension, and headache, and can lead to long-term complications such as osteoarthritis. Forward head carriage or forward head posture may promote accelerated aging of intervertebral joints, resulting in degenerative joint disease. So it just appears that posture impacts our state physically, but then also our state mentally, right? Because if you guys do any sort of reading in the psychology realm, I was talking to my brother about this the other day, if you're ever having a conversation with someone and you're noticing the way that they're sitting or standing, depending on where you're at, and they're kind of in a closed-off manner, that's kind of an intentional, whether they realize it or not, it's an intentional movement, right? It's a defense mechanism. I'm not confident or I'm scared. I'm kind of protecting myself, so I keep myself closed off to you because I'm not sure. Whereas someone coming at you, not wide chested, but standing up taller, they're more confident in what they're doing. And whether or not you are, right? We practiced this in our school. That they said, if you act more confident, you'll feel more confident. And it was almost like this trick you played in your head, that whether or not you were actually confident, if you stood taller, you would start to feel a little bit more confident. So one of the bad effects of the posture is that you're closing yourself off to people, especially if your muscles are starting to adapt to that position. And then mood shifts, constantly in a downward, just kind of downward spiral from this faulty posture. And kind of an example, if you guys didn't understand the head analogy, when we talk about any sort of barbell movements in our strength training, if you guys aren't familiar with a barbell, it's just a big metal rod that kind of runs off strength and has knurlings throughout the bar, but then section on the side that you load plates on. So it's typically, you see it on the floor, you can do a deadlift from, or you put it on your back, squat, a million other things. But something that we like to emphasize when you're doing a deadlift, for example, is that when you set up for it, you keep the bar nice and close to your legs to pull it up because it makes it more efficient. So can everyone understand that if I put the bar up here, whatever it weighs, 135 pounds, and I tried to pull it up, it would be a whole lot harder, right? If you guys don't understand that, you can go and try to pick something up, right? If I wanted to pick my water bottle up and I picked it up here, it's going to be a lot heavier unless if I moved it closer to me and just picked it up here, right? Just because that's just the way gravity works, right? We talk about in school the moment arm, right? The distance between these 2 points is much greater than here. I don't want to go that sciencey for you guys, but I just want you to understand, right, that when I move my head further away from my spine, my shoulders where it's supposed to be, it's going to be more difficult for it to support itself. So we want to make life easier for us and not much harder, right? There's a lot of things that we go through, other stresses. So we don't need to apply more to our lives, right? We want to make it a little bit easier. So your spine, particularly all of them, you have discs inside of it. And inside of you have 2 vertebral bodies, which are the bones, if you guys are familiar with anatomy, and then you have a disc that lays in between them. In the center of the disc is a nucleus, and that nucleus will shift depending on the movement of your spine, right? So I have 4 different movements up there. The first one on the top left for you guys is flexion. So that means my spine is bending forward. And so as I bend forward, the nucleus is actually going to push back towards my back. Whereas if I move into extension, I lean back, the nucleus is actually going to move a little bit forward. Now it's never actually going to pop out of that unless the fibers are getting really weak, but as I move, that nucleus is also moving. So side to side, it's going to push this way, it's going to push to the right. So I'm sure you guys have heard of people getting disc herniation. So what happens with the disc herniation is that commonly, the disc herniation will happen posteriorly, so it's towards the back. It's very, very rare, though it does happen, that a disc herniation will happen towards the front. So what happened, the disc herniation, I don't remember if I had a picture or not, but the nucleus will get pushed back towards the back of the body. Oh, so here we go. A herniated disc is the second one from the bottom. It gets pushed towards the back, and then the fibers will actually kind of spill out the back. The nucleus will push into the back and hit one of your spinal nerves that breaks off from your spinal cord, and that's actually where we get pain in the back, pain raining down your leg. And so this is one of the causes. I think it's important to note that this is not the only cause of disc herniations, right? Trauma can be one, but this is something that it could lead to, right? If I'm constantly in a flexed position, then my nucleus is constantly getting pushed to the back instead of it just going, kind of moving in all 4 of those directions. So not the greatest thing. The goal here is not to scare people, right? The goal is to just get people a little bit more aware of what's going on inside this body that we live life through. Talking about movements of the spine. So if I continue to stay in that flex position, right, the nucleus is going to go towards the back. So what does this mean? I think it's really important to note that it becomes even more essential that we're working on not only upright posture, but also core strength, right? What holds me in this position, right? I'm not just wishing myself to stay here, but there are muscles that are constantly in play. I actually had a guy at a conference I was at last week, he had spine surgery, gosh, years ago, but he talked about how when he was standing, he never really felt like his back was working. And then after surgery, because he got so weak in his back, he went to come out of the bed and he stood up, and he said he felt like everything in his back was like on fire because he could actually feel the muscles working to hold him upright because they had to work so much harder because they were weaker. And so that was the realization for him that he was like, wow, not only do I have muscles in my back, but they actually do hold me upright. And it wasn't until surgery that he noticed that. So we could be in this position and not even realize there are so many things at play, right? And even just down to the cellular level. I was talking to Paulina about this weeks ago, but like there are so many things happening at the cellular level to just like contract your muscle, right? For me to even pick my water bottle up, for me to stand here, you know, not to even mention just like the superficial muscles. So I think it's kind of amazing, and that's again the goal of today is to bring more awareness to. I'm still not, I wouldn't say a body expert, but I know a lot more about the body today than I did 2.5 years ago. And so I'm trying to use that knowledge to better myself, but then also to better individuals in my life. So what does that look like? All right, how can we actually I'm not gonna go there just yet. How do we get there, and what does it mean to kind of look, what does it mean to have a good posture? So we're gonna start here. So everyone can stand up if you want to participate. It's not gonna be so crazy, so please don't get worried. Right, so everyone, we're gonna stand up nice and tall. You're gonna almost imagine like there's a string attached to your head, and it's attached to the roof, it's kind of pulling you upward. We're gonna go ahead and put your hands on your hips. I'm gonna turn sideways so that you can see me. You don't have to turn sideways, but this is why, again, better. So we're gonna start by moving the pelvis a little bit, right? So all of my structures actually insert into my pelvis. My spine hits here, and then all the muscles of my leg into the pelvis. So it's really important for movement. So we're gonna start with rolling the hips forward. So almost if you think of your hips as a bucket, you're gonna pour water out the front, and then you're gonna actually roll them backwards. So you're gonna think tucking the pelvis underneath you or pouring the water out the back. So we're gonna do that a couple more times. So we're gonna roll the hips forward. You'll feel your back arch a little bit, and then the other way, tucking your pelvis underneath you, you're gonna feel the back straighten out. So we're just gonna do that one more time. This is new for you guys. So straighten, rolling the pelvis forward, so water spills out the front, and then backwards, nice flat back. So, yes, you guys can go ahead and sit down if you want to at this one. So we just did 2 movements of the pelvis. There's a couple more that happens, but right when we roll the pelvis forward, you're actually doing movements in the pelvis and the back. So when I rolled my pelvis forward, if you guys notice, my back kind of arches a little bit. So I'm actually putting my lumbar spine into extension at that point. And if I roll my pelvis back, I'm actually, yes, okay. Putting my back into extension, and then if I roll it back, I'm flattening it out, or if I can get it any more, it'll end up rounding, which is in a flex position. So you'll normally see flexion at the upper back or our thoracic spine, and extension at the lower spine because of the way our curves work in our spine. But what happens, so what's really important about that is just getting awareness back into the body. What we want to find ourselves in is a neutral position from that, right? So I put you in 2 different extreme positions, right? Extension and then flexion. Day to day, our body was designed to be in a neutral, right? So I don't want to have my back in extension the whole day because, again, I'm constantly pushing my nucleus forward because it's this way, and you can't flex the spine too much from a standing position like this. You have to get on the ground like a child pose to really get the lower back rounded. But what we want to focus on is that neutral spine. So when you're standing upright, if you guys have ever noticed, people it's more common in females, but I've seen it a couple times in guys. We call it an anterior pelvic tilt. So the pelvis is constantly like this, and they're just kind of like walking. It almost looks like they're trying to float like a peacock. So that's actually a condition of your hamstring, well, again, could possibly be the cause of your hamstrings being tight and your hip flexors being tight as well, because your hip flexors attach onto the front of your hip bone here and then down to your femur. And so if they're tight, they're going to shorten, and so it's going to pull me into this position. Same thing with my hamstrings; they attach to the back, and if they're tight, they're going to also pull my pelvis up that way. So very uncomfortable. If you guys notice, if you're standing in a position too long, and I think that's, yeah. So again, back to that neutral position. So we're going to talk later on as to how we can contract our abdomen in that position. But again, just noticing and kind of bringing back to awareness that if we're, right, I tend to do when I'm like lifting something overhead, I can't quite get it, so I'm going to arch my back to almost get like more leverage. So bringing that awareness that that's not really the position I'm going to find myself in. So it's about tucking my pelvis back underneath me and moving into that more neutral. So this is kind of an example of what it looked like, right? So that string pulling you up, straight up, that plumb line, your pelvis is tucked underneath you just slightly. For me, that's what I have to do to get to my neutral on the left side of the screen there. Whereas on the right side, my back's a little bit more in extension, and my neck is over my shoulders, right? So not jutted out there. So those are different positions that we find ourselves in. So how does the core then work in those places, and what does it mean to necessarily have a strong core? Now, usually when people think of core, they think of your six-pack muscle, right? And that's, fortunately, that's not the whole of it. That's actually one of, I mean, it does aid in spinal movement, but it's not the gist of your abdomen, right? But I think we're overwhelmed with how many ab exercises are out there, right? If you guys have seen, like, it's like the killer ab this, or ab blast, or Bruce Lee abs, like, we're all really interested in these abs, but what do they do? And how do we train them? And I think the best thing, at least that I found, is, okay, so what if that is what people are searching for this ab work, what is the best way to train it? And I think the better question is, what was it designed to do, right? So we've already talked about stabilizing and stuff. This is kind of a superficial, not superficial, this is a superficial too deep look at the muscles in your trunk, right? So you'll notice that, and we're gonna look at specifically the slides later on. But as you can tell, I don't know how many muscles are directly pictured in that one, but there's quite a few, right? You have your rectus abdominis that runs straight down that you typically think of your six-pack. You have your obliques running in both directions. Transverse abdominis, again, we're going to look at this, but as you can see, they all come together and almost form. We talk about it a lot, that it almost forms a corset around you, right? They're all there, and people want to talk about isolating muscles, but it's not really possible to isolate a muscle, right? I can do bicep curls, but there's actually 3 or 4 muscles in my arm that brings that up, so I can't just do my biceps brachii, which has that's another reason, but there's a lot of muscles in your arm that if I'm just doing this, I'm not just working my bicep. Actually, if I'm keeping my forearm straight, my wrist straight, then all the muscles in my forearm are actually contracting. So this idea of isolating muscles is not really founded anywhere. But back to your trunk, there's 8 muscles specifically in your trunk that I'm going to focus on. There are a ton more than that, some deeper than what we're going to look at. We're going to kind of look at a superficial view, so we don't have to look at that too much. So your rectus abdominis, right, your six-pack muscle. If you notice, there's actually 8 sections there. So technicality, it's actually an 8-pack muscle, but no one thinks of it that way. This one's job, because it inserts onto your rib cage, aids in flexing the spine, right? So when it contracts, it pulls me forward, right? So if you think of your crunches, any other sort of movement of folding forward, it's going to be your rectus abdominis is working along with other ones, but this is what we would say is your prime mover in that sense, in that movement, right? Then you have your external obliques, right? Everyone's so excited about oblique work. It attaches to your lower 8 ribs and then attaches to your hip on the side. It helps to rotate the trunk. So if I'm standing here and I'm rotating, my internal, which we'll see later, and external obliques are working together, but just in opposites, and they run. We talk about hands in your pocket, so they run this way on your abdomen, whereas your internal ones will actually run in the opposite direction. So together, they contract to do rotation of the trunk. They're a little bit deeper. The internal obliques are deeper to the external, so when you have very low body fat percentage, you'll actually see your external obliques, but not necessarily your internal because they're underneath. Again, aids with rotation. Your transverse abdominis is deeper to both of those, and it actually does not do any trunk movement. So if you guys have ever heard of TVA work, they're talking about your transverse abdominis. What its job is actually to hold your organs in place, right? So again, deep muscle. You guys ever do like deep breathing exercises? People are really a fan of those because it actually just, helps to pull the belly button into the spine, we like to say. So muscle key in your trunk, but not necessarily doing any sort of trunk motion, right? More focus on the internal organs. Then you have your quadratus lumborum, which is actually located more on the posterior side, so the back side of your body. It actually has several different functions. If I lean to my side, it's going to help pull me to that side because of its insertion on the last rib and then also your lumbar spine there. It also is going to elevate my hip. So if I'm standing here and I'm doing this, my quadratus lumborum is going to act a little bit there, along with other muscles, but that's the action of it. So laterally flexes the trunk, meaning I go here. It also helps to stabilize my low back, right? So with me standing here, it's actually, again, along with all the other muscles, it's actually acting to help hold me here. Your erector spinae is actually a group of several different muscles. I didn't list them out, but they are specifically different small fibers. The picture on the left or center is focusing more on the right is your erector spinae, and there's 3 different muscles, if you can kind of see, that kind of branch off of the fibers at the bottom. The one on the right is a little bit more vivid, just the erector spinae group, and this one works on helping to extend your back, so because it runs along the spine, so if I move this way, they're going to help there. Erector, meaning erecting, keeping me upright. The next one that we're going to look at is your splenius. If I'm saying all these wrong, I'm really sorry. That was what we learned in school. So this is actually a group of 2 muscles. So your splenius capitis and your splenius cervicis. They branch into your neck, but support your cervical spine. So when we're talking spine, we're talking whole length cervical, thoracic, which is in the middle, and then your lumbar. It's going to help to rotate my head, so I'm turning this way, flex my head, and then also extend it because of the insertion points of both of them. Last one I think we're going to talk about today is your multifidi, or your multifidus. It is a bunch of small fibers, but it travels up the whole length of your spine. This one's pretty cool, and I don't think the picture does it really justice, but the way that this one works is it starts on your one vertebrae, and then 2 fibers branch off of that one body, and it goes up to the next vertebrae right on top of it, and then the next 2 fibers actually go into the next one. So it's actually hooking 2 different spinal segments together, and then you move up, and it does the same thing. It goes up to the one right above it, and then also the run 2 above it. So this one becomes really important for lower back pain, and then also rehabilitation after low back pain. So whether it's a surgery or you're just suffering from back pain, it helps with bending backwards, so it brings me that way, and then also doing a sideways, even turning side to side because of the insertion points. Right, so as you guys can see, I'm trying not to bore you with all the muscles, but there's a lot of muscles that are involved, and again, this is not even the extent of all of them. So it's really important to know that these have the ability to do all these different things. So what does that mean, right? How do I train my abdomen, and what was the best way to do that? Should I stop doing crunches overall? What is it? Because my whole thing with the crunches and where the industry is starting to move is we talked about that flex position that you don't want to stay in. So if you guys have ever seen crunches done, you're typically on your back and then you're moving this way. So it's a repetitive movement of flexion of your back, right? So my body is capable of doing flexion. I mean, I'm able to bend over, touch my toes, and come back up. But that's not necessarily the position I want to stay in, right? All these muscles, when they contract together, they're actually just holding me there. So it's preventing me from rotating or bending sideways or going forward or back. So they're all working in that stabilization process. So moving forward, the best way to train the spine, in my opinion, is stabilization, right? I think there are places for crunches, bending the spine forward and backwards, but depending on your injury, right, a lot of my clients, I see them 2 to 3 times a week, so it depends on who I'm with, but none of them do crunches, right? We've taken that, I don't personally do them myself. Again, I think the spine can flex, but with the hour and a half that I have with you, I'm not gonna flex your spine at all, or I'm gonna try not to, right? Because you'll probably, you know, you're bending over enough in the day that I think you're getting that movement, so it's not important that you get it with me. So what does that mean? So how can I best train the core? My favorite exercises are any sort of plank, and I'm going to go over these at the end. So when you're on the ground and holding your spine nice and straight, gravity is working against you. So if there's a wall in front of me, you can imagine the floor. So I'm holding myself in this plank position. Gravity is pushing this way towards me. If I didn't have my muscles contracted, gravity would actually push into my lower back and my hips, and it would push me this way towards the floor. So I'm actually pushing me into an extension. So what a plank does, it actually is an anti-extension, meaning that if my muscles contract in the front, they're preventing me from moving into extension. And so any sort of anti-extension, anti-rotation exercise, again, I'll go over all those at the end so you guys can get a gist. But that's really, spinal stabilization is where you're gonna find the most benefit from relieving pain. A lot of people come in with back pain, and all I get them to do is do a plank on the floor. And again, it's not always the case, but it almost instantly relieves their back pain because we're just not using our abdomen like we should be, right? It's either weak, we're not aware of it, all these different things. So if we bring that back into the equation, right, again, me standing upright, it's all the muscles in my front and all the muscles in my back are helping me stay here. So best exercises, again, plank, side plank, back extensions to some populations. I'm going to go over these again, but just so you guys have them on there. V-hold, anti-rotation, lat pull-downs are for your back. So any sort of work on your back again, which is why the back extensions are in there. Or why does it say that? Oh, stand up straight. I was like, it says sit up in there. So I meant to say stand up straight. So right, if I'm working on actively standing up straight, then again, all those muscles are working again. If I'm constantly finding myself in a better position, then especially my muscles in my front are relaxed, and then they're not being active, right? Whereas if I stand up straight, everything has to contract. So again, we're just gonna do a movement section at the end after the Q&A to kind of show you guys these things if you're up for it. But another question that I had submitted that I want to kind of talk over is hip mobility and back pain. So a lot of people, again, come in and they're like, my back is really hurting me, and I'm like, all right, you know, so what do you do for a living? Kind of do an assessment, and I get them through the assessment. I find that their hips are really tight, and the reason for this, I should have had a chair up here, but if you're sitting, like, oh, you guys are sitting, so that's a great example you guys can see. So you're sitting, right, your thigh is probably parallel, and so you can see that this, your joint in your hip is actually kind of closed off, right? Your femur is closer to your pelvis. So your muscle is actually getting shortened in that position. Whereas if I stand up straight, it actually elongates, right? So you get stretched out and I'm no longer in that flex position. Again, with our body adapting to the positions in, if I stay in this long enough or hold it, my hip flexors are gonna get tight, right? The muscles that are inserting here. And so because of that, they're gonna get tired and then they're gonna get tight. And then what happens is, especially with the front, or actually both of them, we come into this anterior tilt, right? So in order to relieve that, I'm gonna open up your hips a little bit. So I'm gonna do different stretches. Again, I'm gonna go over this again, but I wanted to kind of give you guys the information up front. So any sort of leaning back to the side, reaching up, there's different half kneeling positions. But I found that when I open up my client's hips, because we're constantly in a seated position, it actually helps to relieve that. And then we activate their core by doing planks and stuff. And so again, that it helps to relieve that. As you can see, your back extensors get tight. So if you stretch out your backs, right, any sort of child pose, your hip flexors are tight. And so we gotta stretch those out. But in contrast, right, if something else is tight, then the opposite is most likely weak. So my back extensors are tight, my abdomen is gonna be weak. So you have to strengthen your abdomen. If my hip flexors are tight, then I probably have weak glutes and hamstrings. So I'm going to strengthen those through any sort of squat, deadlift, the like. So I think something else that people like to say, or they come at me and they're like, I've never exercised before, how do I get started? And I kind of want to spend a little bit more time here because it tends to be what people are really interested in, right? Or how do I, if I go from sitting, right, am I going to hurt myself? A lot of people, especially my older population that I work with, they're like, she jokes, I train a 65-year-old woman, and she tells me all the time, she's like, Victoria, because we're working with her for 1.5 years now, and she knows me pretty well at this point. She knows that I'm not going to hurt her, and I actually have something from her that I want to read to you guys, just to kind of show the impact that it can make in people's lives. And she tells me all the time, she's like, Victoria, did I forget to mention that I'm 65 years old? Why am I doing all this stuff? And I told her, I was like, I joked, and I'm like, oh, I seem to have forgotten. But in my opinion, right, age doesn't really matter, right? Our body, obviously, again, adapts to the different stresses it applies to, meaning that at any point, it's able to get stronger, right? It might be significantly harder because, you know, again, there's so many things that happen as we age, but your body doesn't possess the ability to bounce back as fast. But it still doesn't. It doesn't mean that there's like a lost cause, right? I would love to walk into nursing homes and get them sitting and standing from their chairs, getting them to be able to roll out of bed again, getting to them to be able to walk down the hallway with ease, right? And that's what comes of strength training. So I'm a big advocate of strength training, especially with the older population, because it just improves overall health, mental state, emotionally, and physically, right? If I'm stronger, I'm better able to carry myself throughout the day, and then I'm not as susceptible to injuries. So the answer is yes, right? Can I start exercising now if I've never done it before? But a lot of people are like, so how do I get started? Well, the first thing is to do exactly what we just did, right? We start to sit less. If we're, I try to do this, and you guys are more than welcome. If you guys want to stand up, you can go for it. I'm not gonna, I know I've been talking for about 45 minutes now, so feel free to move around. I'm not saying you guys have to sit. I'm very ADD, and so I can't sit in one place at one time, and I'll go on a million different tangents like this one. So, right, so the first step is getting moving, right? So if constantly in our car, when we get back inside, we sit down on the couch, right? So instead of doing that, hey, why don't I do a couple of stretches, right? I knew I was just in the car, so I'm in this position a lot, so why don't I try to open my hip again? So I'm gonna take my hip back, kind of lean to the side. The great thing, and again, I'll be around afterwards to show you guys some things, but the great thing about stretching is it's really hard to hurt yourself. Obviously, people have done it, but I think what I try to encourage myself is you ease into it, right? And if you feel like it's stretching something, it probably is, right? So my hip flexes this way, and if my muscles get tight, I just have to take it back for me to stretch that muscle. Same with my arm, right? If my chest is tight, I just have to take my arms back in order to stretch it. If my back is tight, I just can bring my arms forward and I stretch it. A lot of you guys have probably done those over the years, and so, right, so we start to stretch more and we start to move more. If you guys can get into the gym and work with resistance, so a barbell or dumbbells, that's the most beneficial and effective way of progressively loading, like a squat, for example. But if not, my goal is actually always to be able to work with just someone's body. And so again, the movement we'll do afterwards is going to help that as well. But right, so we start sitting less. I think the other thing that's really important is to set goals, right? It's good to ask yourself, well, why am I doing this? Right? I'm a big advocate of movement and moving more in general. But why? Well, because I feel better when I do it, and I know that it's good for my body. So the goal in mind is I want to take care of myself more. So what does that look like? So for some people, it might be I want to run a half marathon someday. Now, I don't think running is for everyone. Some people advocate running is really bad for you. Some people advocate that it's really good for you. I think if your body can do it, I say go for it. And if it's not hurting you, then absolutely. Now, some people don't have the strength in their knees to take that impact. So, to each their own. If your goal is to squat 200 pounds someday, I think that's awesome, working towards it. If your goal is to just get out of bed with ease, right? It's setting that goal and then working towards it. For me, I just competed in a competition, so it was to be able to pull 300 pounds off the ground in my deadlift. But because if you have a goal in mind, you can always work towards it. I think we're kind of losing that. So asking yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? I think I find a lot in my industry, especially the females, not so much the males, but they walk in and they're like, Victoria, how do I lose this? And I'm like, all right, so, and then I have to have that conversation with them, right? It's not as complicated as you think it is, and it's not as easy as you think it is. For people to get that six-pack ab that they're looking for, takes an extreme amount of training. It takes a low body fat percentage, right? Because your fat is not covering your muscles anymore. It takes training 5 days a week for 2+ hours, and it takes having your diet on point. My goal is never. I had that goal at one point, but I've since moved away from it. Right? I've tried to establish with my clients that yes, your goal should be physical in the sense that you want to feel better. But if your goal is a magazine cover, right, you're gonna either have to change that goal or you're gonna have to change things drastically, because people on the magazines, they do that for a living, right? That is their job. I don't know what you guys, but you could go to work and sit at the office from 9 to 5, and that's your job, and that's really important. Their job is to go to the gym and work out for 3+ hours, right? So that's not my job. I train 3 days a week. I have a very consistent schedule with that, but people think, oh, you must do something every day. I do movement every day, right? I'm constantly moving my body, but I'm not in the gym training per se every day. So I think that's important to note, that our goal should be more about feeling better and and accomplishing some sort of task than a physical look, because especially for females, we've set this standard as that's the epitome of healthy, right? That's beauty. That's what everyone's goal should be, and it's not true, right? I think that's, but we're losing that, especially with social media. We're constantly engaged and seeing these images on Instagram and Facebook, and I don't even know what else is out there. And we're bombarded with magazines that say we should look like this. And the reality is, my body is very different than the other ladies in this room. The guys' bodies in here are very different than the other guys. So our genetic makeup is very different. Our structure, right? My hips are much wider than my older sisters. I'll never get to fit into my sister's jeans again, right? Because that's just the reality of it. So that should never really be my goal, is to be a size, 6 or something. But it should be, when I wake up today, I'm choosing to take care of myself. So what am I doing today to better myself? Is it by choosing to not eat that chocolate bar, or is it choosing to go for a walk instead of sit at the TV and watch my favorite show? Whatever it is, right, those changes look different for each one, and I'd be happy to stay afterwards if you guys want to talk specific changes for you individually and your situation. That's something I'm more than happy to do, but again, I think it looks different. We're all looking we want formulas for things. We want someone to tell me X, Y, and Z, and I'll do it every day, and I'll get this outcome. But I like to open it up a little bit more, right? I think some people garden in here, some people play soccer, and I think those are all amazing things, and those are different forms of movements that our body is capable of doing. Basketball, any other sort of sport, hiking, those are great, and our body was designed to do it, so let's keep doing them, and let's try to just get moving a little bit more. The important thing is just get started, right? I know that sounds kind of an overarching thing, but it's true, right? Find something easy to do, right? I think it's easy to set goals, and then, I'm gonna run a marathon, and so this week I have to run 4 miles on Monday and 6 miles on Wednesday and 2 miles on Saturday, and then repeat next week, and it's like overload right at the beginning. Some people have the ability to adjust to that, and others don't. So if you want to run a half marathon in a year, go for a walk today, right? And then in 2 days, go for a light jog. Not for any sort of time, just kind of see where your body is at. And that's, if there's anything that I could really emphasize more than anything, is listening to your body, right? Because, and I tell this to my clients when they walk in the door, right? When we do something, say a squat, for example, and I get you in that position, I know how it's supposed to look, and I'm going to get you in that position. But if for whatever reason it doesn't feel good, right? You feel things stretching, you feel pain, so you shouldn't feel pain, but again, everyone's body is different, and there might be something going on that you didn't tell me about, right? You have to communicate that with me, because I'm not in your body, right? I know what different movements look like, but I can't read your mind. Sometimes I can read your face, but even that sometimes doesn't tell me that much, because your face will say one thing and then you're going to be, I'm fine. It's like, it makes signals here. So it's really important just to listen to you, right? If my back's hurting, then it's like, all right, what can I do? I don't want my back to hurt, so what can I do to alleviate my back pain? I'm not going to do an extra something that I've been known, like, oh, when I lift that box overhead, it hurts my back. Then let's stop lifting that box overhead, right? Let's start doing more things on the floor, stretching, right? So it's taking that time to listen to your body. And I think we're losing that in our day and age, right? We're, again, being constantly bombarded by all these different things. And I think it's good to just take that time to say, how is my body doing today? Because that's what I live life through, right? We've been blessed with this amazing body to do all these amazing things through. So I think we should use it. So it's time to get moving, right? It's time to just incorporate those new patterns, right? My goal was to run a half marathon 3 or so, I guess it was 4 years at this point. So I started training in November for it, and ended up running it in March of that year. But it's like, I did it because I started somewhere. And so same thing with you guys, right? If movement again today means I'm gonna walk around the building afterwards for 3 laps, whatever it is, it's doing something a little bit more than you did yesterday. Again, listening to your body, and then my recommendation is just strengthening your abdomen and your back, right? People are really obsessed with their legs or their chest if you're a guy, but I'm really a big fan of your abdomen and your back, and that's not crunches, that's not doing a million butterfly kicks or whatever those things are, right? But it's how do I carry myself a little bit more upright, and then stretch your hips and your chest, right? Those are 2 things you can walk away with today. It's your abdomen and your back needs to be stronger, and your hips and your chest need to be a little bit looser. Again, because I'm in this position, so I closed off those structures, so if I open them up, right, you'd be amazed if those are 2 things that are tight on you. You'd be amazed to just, you don't even have to do any sort of exercises after that. If you just work on stretching a little bit more, opening, you'd be amazed to see the difference that it makes, especially if you're not used to being in that open position again. Yeah, so at this point, does anybody have any questions? I kind of moved really fast, and I wanted to make sure we got it all in. But any sort of questions for me? It could be what we talked about today, or just questions in general. Yeah, Mike.
You mentioned excessive lordosis. That's a common postural disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned tight hamstrings.
Yes.
So would you stretch out the hamstrings, or what would you do in that situation?
So you're talking about the lordosis in the lumbar spine when we're doing the pelvis movements, and hamstrings being possibly being tight. In that situation, I would try to really focus on their hip. I mean, hamstrings. Yeah. So I would stretch out their hamstrings and their hip flexors, but then also look at strengthening their abdomen. Usually, what happens, what that I've found, is when I start to focus on strengthening your abdomen, other things loosen. Because what happens is, if you guys remember back, right, your pelvis here is actually surrounded by a ton of different muscles. There's a lot of muscles that insert here. And your body is very smart in that if it doesn't feel stable, it's gonna find stability somewhere else, right? So if I'm not using my abdomen, which I was having hip pain on my right side, actually for the last 6 weeks or so, and I finally went to a PT about it, and he said that basically all my muscles on my right hip were trying to find stability in my pelvis, because for some reason I'm right hand dominant, but for some reason I wasn't using my right side when I did things, and so my right side of my abdomen, my obliques, my rectus abdominis, and other things were very weak for whatever reason, so I guess I don't use that side a lot. And so it found that my hip was trying to find stability, and so all of those muscles were contracting harder than they should have been in order to stabilize my pelvis. And so when it comes to lordosis, extreme extension in your low back, I would look at strengthening your abdomen, loosen the hamstrings, and then immediately strengthen them to get that support back. If that answers your question at all.
Actually, yeah, I can talk with you more about it later.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't want to keep going.
Okay, any other questions?
How do you feel about alternative medicine, like chiropractors, acupuncture, acupressure, osteopathic doctors, etc.?
Yeah, so I've never been to a chiropractor or acupuncture, all the other ones that you listed. I'm not opposed to them at all. I think everything has its place, right? I think if you are misaligned in some way, right? There are things that I'm not allowed to do, right? Nutrition, I can't give you a diet plan that's beyond my scope of practice. I can't manually adjust things. I could probably assess that, hey, your back is kind of, and then I would refer you out. So I think there are places, if you're using them instead of getting the movement where you need to in your day-to-day life, right? Strengthening your legs and your abdomen and just using it as a quick fix, then it's just going to go back to where it was before, right? I think, I know several people in the room have found benefit from it. My brother and several of my clients included. I personally just have never gone because thankfully I've never needed to. But if you're not doing anything after it, then it most likely is going to come back anyway. So I think they're great professions. I think they know a lot about the human body, and I believe that they want to help people just as much as I do. They just do it in a different way. I think though sometimes we use when my back is hurting me, instead of figuring out what the cause of it is, I pop an Advil and keep moving. So saying with, my back's bothering, I'm going to go to a chiropractor and I'm going to fix the symptom possibly and not necessarily address the problem, right? If I'm misaligned because I'm not actually stabilizing myself throughout the day and I just go get realigned, but then when I go back to my life and I do everything, I'm just going to get misaligned again because I haven't changed anything. So, yeah. Same with like massage therapy, right? I think they do the healing benefits that come from it, not only through the skin, but through the cellular level and the muscular level, right? There's a lot of benefits from that. I think it's great. But if you just go get a massage and then again don't change anything, if you went to get a massage because your neck hurt and you feel better afterwards and you're like, great, woo, feel good, and I do the exact same stuff that I did before, chances are my neck's gonna hurt again. If that makes sense. Okay. Yes.
Do you do specific movement assessments, like functional movement screening?
Yeah, so actually I'm gonna take you, I don't use a specific one, right? I know about the FMS and the one that somebody else like NAS or something. I take pieces of those. Once we're done with questions stuff, I'm actually going to take people, if you guys are interested, we'll probably clear some chairs out. I'm going to take you guys through what I would typically do in an initial session. So when I first meet someone, I don't just start doing things like, here's a dumbbell, start squatting, or here's a barbell, right? I want to see how your body moves, because it's very different than mine. And so we'll do a squat pattern, depending on the age group. We might do a sit to stand, depending on their level of strength. Do some sort of upper body push, so a push up, either on the floor, on their knees, against a wall, kind of seeing where that strength is at. Some sort of core thing on the floor, just to kind of, again, where it's also assessing not only where their body is like standing, but also if I ask them to do something, can they tell their body to do it? So those are the assessments that I do, but I'll show those afterwards. Yes.
I have had a herniated disc.
Okay.
And of course I had to have surgery to remove the herniation, but there was permanent nerve damage in my foot.
Oh wow.
Because of it.
Yeah.
So are there any exercises that I absolutely shouldn't do since having that?
Yeah, so disc herniation. The position, I wouldn't say necessarily exercises you want to avoid, but there are positions that you want to avoid. So what we were just talking about, right? Where was it? Like
between L4 and L5.
Okay, one of the most common. Yeah, so that's lower down in your back, obviously. So anything of a flex position in that back, so rounding is a position you want to avoid. So getting as much upright as possible is going to be the best thing for that herniation, or doing something in the opposite, right? So if I want to avoid flexion, then I can actually work on strengthening my extensors. So, and I can show you afterwards, but lying on the floor, and then if you've seen a Superman, that's where the back extensions, I put those in there. Again, very select population, so those are gonna be great. And then just bringing it back here, because this is what's gonna support your back, especially now after surgery. When was it? When was the surgery?
Back in 2000, so.
Oh, okay, so
quite
it's
a
been
few
some time,
years,
okay, yeah.
But.
Has it bothered you since? Like, just
Well, occasionally, that little back pain,
mm-hmm.
but I'm thinking it's more tightness in my hips
Mhm.
at that point,
Yeah.
this point now.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'll definitely show you specific things afterwards with that. Yes.
What are some of your most common exercises for back pain, especially lower back pain?
For lower back pain, so it's gonna be strengthening the abdomen, and I'm gonna go over different ones with that. Opening up the hips. So again, that depends on how you define exercise, but and then stretching the back out. Right? Do you have a foam roller at all? Okay, that's really good for also just instead of stretching, just kind of, it's like giving yourself a massage if you've used it. So that any start, I'm not going to show you specific places to massage for low back pain, but again, it's going to be tightness in the hip. Again, unless there's something else going on that I can't see because I can't see into your spine, it's going to be abdomen and hips, which I'll show after this. Anybody else? It's cool. Yes.
Are you gonna share those letters?
Yes. At the just make sure I'm on point. Anybody else? No worries if you guys don't want to ask anything right now. I am going to stick around. So I have something to read to you guys. We'll take a little bit of a break, and I'm going to hopefully move some of these, probably the first 2 rows up against the walls here. And then we're going to get just a little bit of movement in. Something to kind of as a caveat, again, I said at the beginning, but you guys know your body better than I do. So I'm going to do these different movements with you, but I need you to listen to your body. And the great thing is, because we are a relatively smaller group, if something does bother you, just be like, hey, Victoria, that doesn't feel good, or this is uncomfortable, right? There's not so much of you that I feel like I can get around to everybody. So again, as we move through these things, it's going to be about you listening to your body. Okay? So the thing that I wanted to close with is the 65-year-old woman that I had mentioned earlier. She asked her to write something because I've been working with her for about 1.5 years, and so I just asked her to, after the 1.5 years, has anything changed? And if so, kind of what it was, and if you could relay that to other people, how would you do it? So she wrote this for me, and it says, in 2016, I was fast approaching my 65th birthday and came to the realization that I had now reached a now or never moment. My plan was to hire a trainer for 6 months, learn the routine, and then continue it on my own. Now that I've worked with Victoria for 1.5 years, I understand that my thinking was all wrong. Victoria has taught me that building my body is a lifelong endeavor. One's body changes as we age, and we must continually make adjustments to stay strong and healthy. As an example, before Victoria, I could never lift anything heavier than a spoon. No exaggeration. Today, Victoria has me lifting 60 pounds. With her guidance and supervision, we have methodically built my strength so that I lift both dead weight and swinging kettlebells. Even as a teenager, I could never have done that. I was not born with a muscled body, as she said. In 2009, I had an 8.5-hour surgery for a brain aneurysm. It took me 2 years to recuperate both physically and emotionally. At that point, I was very pleased to have returned to my normal self. I thought that was enough. However, doing repetitions of squats has shown me how essentially stronger legs, thighs, and buttocks are continuing to ski in the winter and play golf in the summer, as well as doing regular everyday chores. Finally, the stretching and balance work is perhaps the most important piece of it all. In summary, Victoria has been an integral part of my daily life, whether we were working out that day or not. She says some other things about me, so we'll just stop right there. But the important thing, which I love about working with her, right, is that it's never too late. And the stuff that I do in my profession, it applies across the board, right? And my goal is to, from the moment we start walking, to just continue to keep walking, right? And it doesn't have to, we constantly are moving towards less and less movement as we age, and I'm hoping to stop that trend. Right? How do we get it back? I'm going to leave this on the board for you guys. But these are two websites that I really like. StartingStrength.com is an organization that has methodically thought out their strength training programs, and they have a lot of articles training for strength with older adults. The mental aspect that improving your muscle mass has, and a whole lot of other ones. So StartingStrength.com is one, and then Nutritious Movement. A lady by her name is Katie Bowman. She has a podcast that I listen to. This is Katie Says. So if you guys are interested in podcasts, that's a really great one. It's not catered to females, but I will say it is to females. So sometimes they talk about female specific things. But my dad is actually the one that introduced it to me. So he just loves the fact that she just talks about movement, and she's really a big encourager about that. Her specific article that I was reading earlier this week is a core strength advent calendar in 2016. So if you guys are really interested in like how do I do things, she has, I guess it's it was like 24 days or something that she did, like 24 different core exercises. And I think I put it up there because I really agree with all of them. Some of them are not what you would think of as core, but as we say in the industry, core is actually in everything that you do. So that's all from me. If you guys have any more other questions, I'm going to leave this up there so you can see it. If I could have, if you guys like want to get some water or something, stand up for that. We'll kind of come back. Don't go too far because we're going to start in like 3 minutes or so. But I already had some people stack the first 2 rows up, and we'll just put them next to the wall. And then we'll go ahead and come out into the space and get moving. Actually, let's do the first 3 rows if that's cool. Thanks.